And now straight ahead to Anga, where President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has called on world leaders to recommit themselves to multilateralism by deepening relations among member states of the United Nations, in line with the principles of inclusivity, equality, and cooperation. President Tinubu, who is the chairman of the Authority of Heads of States and Government of the Economic Community of West African States, the ECOWAS, made the call while addressing world leaders during the general debate of the ongoing 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, at the UN headquarters in New York, United States. Represented by his Deputy Vice President Kashim Shettima at the high-level annual global event, the President decried the steep descent to singularity and non-nationalism, which, according to him, are undermining the quest for peaceful and collective resolution of global challenges such as terrorism, climate change, poverty, food crisis, hyperinflation, nuclear proliferation, and grinding debt burden, among others.
Mr. President, the theme of this year's General Assembly leaves us in no doubt that there is still work to be done to bridge the gap between the aspirations and the realities confronting our world today. It also underscores the need to remind ourselves that the United Nations stands for inclusiveness, anchored on the tripod of peace, sustainable development, and human rights. Today, these pillars of our organization are threatened. They risk being broken by the relentless pursuit of individual national priorities rather than the collective needs of the nations that are assembled here today. While commitment to multilateralism offers us the surest guarantee of global action to address the existential challenges we face, singularity and nationalism are undermining the aspirations towards the peaceful and collective resolution of such challenges. From last year's summit, and indeed from previous years, we have carried over the numerous challenges of terrorism, armed conflict, inequality, poverty, racial discrimination, human rights abuses, food crisis, hunger, irregular migration, piracy, global pandemics, hyperinflation, nuclear proliferation, grinding debt burden, climate change, and a host of other.
President Tinubu asked the UN to prioritize debt forgiveness for Nigeria and other developing countries from creditors and multilateral financial institutions, while calling for the recovery of the proceeds of corruption and illicit financial flows, maintaining that the return of such funds of country of origin is a fundamental principle of the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. On insecurity, President Tinubu assured that a high-level African counter-terrorism meeting hosted by Nigeria in April 2024 and its outcome, the Abuja Declaration, promises to provide solution to the challenges presented by terrorists and insurgents.
Mr. President, reform of the Security Council is critical if the UN is to strengthen its relevance and credibility in our rapidly changing world. Some permanent members of the United Nations Security Council have offered encouraging, if tentative, indications of support on the issue of reform of the Council. We welcome the change in tone and urge an acceleration in momentum to the process. The Security Council should be expanded in the permanent and non-permanent member categories to reflect the diversity and plurality of the world. We fully support the efforts of the Secretary General Guterres in this regard. Africa must be accorded the respect that it deserves in the Security Council. Our continent deserves a place in the permanent members category of the Security Council with the same rights and responsibilities as other permanent members.
He also warned against the dangers of climate change, describing it as a driver of insecurity that poses a veritable challenge to sustainable development. President Tinubu further insisted on bold reforms in the UN Security Council with a view to giving Nigeria and other African countries permanent seats at the Council, stressing that it has since become imperative for the UN to strengthen its relevance and credibility in rapidly changing world.